scary enough? Okay, I think I have to make it the custom every time to say that this class is more for me. I'm not the one to be telling anyone about Chinuch. We're just reading the book together, and mainly it does better for me. I hope it helps everyone else too. The last thing we were discussing was punishing, if you remember. And we said the person has to hold off and, be very, very, very moderate with the punishing. And we said worse than punishing was screaming, right? Screaming, the damage is incredible. What it does, and it has really diverse effects. It has a lot of negative things, and sometimes a person might think that it works, but it doesn't. It really doesn't. And we just have to remember that's very, very damaging. Now, from this we move to a more general thing that we have to always remember. Without proper midot, without a person having proper etiquette, proper behavior, it is impossible to be mechanech. Forget about all the chinuch books, forget about all the shalom bayit books, all of them. It all boils down to this, midot. Midot, that means respecting others, not having arrogance, not getting angry, and so on and so forth, not being jealous, having a good eye, to be able to judge other people properly. That's general midot across the board. That this is, as the Gaon Mevilna writes, it's a lifetime achievement, something that we have to work until we're 120 years old. No question about that. And definitely, without proper midot, if a person does not work on oneself, right, on their behavior, it's impossible to be a mechanech. In the book Minchas Shemuel, right, I think his name is Rav Shmuel Rozovsky. He was the student of Rav Chaim Volozhin. He brings from his Rabbi, Rav Chaim Volozhin. He says Rav Chaim Volozhin was 150 years ago, right? He says Bizman hazeh, in our times, that means then, kashot einam nishmaim. If you want to be tough, acting tough, nobody will listen to you. He said it then. People were tougher. He said it then. Meaning to say, if you start talking tough and you start talking harsh, you will not be heard, right? Only soft, only nice. That's the only way to do it. And he says, a person whose nature, right, is not to speak softly, and he gets angry quickly on people that are doing wrong, right? And especially if they don't listen to him, he gets upset and angry. He is patur from the mitzvah of tochacha. Mitzvah of tochacha, that means rebuke. Rebuke means someone did something wrong. You go over to that person. The Torah gives us a command. Hocheach tocheach et amitecha. A person has to rebuke others. That means you see someone doing something wrong, you got to go and tell him, listen, my friend, you're doing something wrong. And a person can't do it properly, a person who cannot hold himself back from getting angry, he is exempt from this mitzvah of the Torah. And do you know the mitzvah of chinuch, where it comes from? Raising our children, where it comes from properly? It comes from the mitzvah of hochacha. Tochacha, the mitzvah of rebuke, the mitzvah that we have an obligation to bring other people in the right path. That's where the chinuch of the children comes from. That's the mitzvah. Because we want, who better than our own children to bring them in the right path, healthy path, a good, happy life? That's our job. That stems from tochacha. That stems from the mitzvah of rebuke, the mitzvah of explaining to him what is the right path. And if we get angry, if we're going to be, as in Farsi they call askar taraqqe, that means a person that is jumpy, gets angry at everything, it won't work. Comes out. An angry person, a person who is jittery, who is upset, he is patur from chinuch, right? The problem is we can't resign from chinuch, right? It's not like, you're handing your resignation. I'm not going to raise my children. I'm not going to, the discipline or bring them up properly. You can't do that. You're born a parent. You're going to be a parent. That's it. This is how it is. So what do we have to do? We have to learn to control ourselves. We have to learn to deal with the situation at hand. And if Rav Chaim Volozhin is telling us 150 years ago that being tough and screaming and I don't know, all these things, it doesn't work, for sure not now, and for sure not with children, right? We're not going to accomplish anything. It's the opposite. We're just going to hurt them. We're going to damage them. That's it. I mean, he's saying that it is what it is now. So we have to change course. We have to go through being soft, being able to calm ourselves down. Shlomo HaMelech says, Divrei Chachamim benachat nishma'im. The words of wise people are heard when it's done benachat. You do it calmly, you do it quietly. What does that mean? Number one, if you're not calm, then you're not a chacham. Then you're not wise. That's what Shlomo HaMelech is saying. He says, you want to be a chacham and you want people to hear you, you have to talk calm, low tone, screaming, high tone, pitch. It doesn't really work. Especially at a home setting. Let's say you're running a kitchen, a commercial kitchen, right? You have about 30 workers in the kitchen, and things aren't going. In that setting, you give a good scream, everybody will listen to you, and that'll work. Because you're not there to train them. You're not there to discipline them, to raise them as good children. You need work to be done. There's pressure, food has to be delivered. You got to do what you got to do. That's why you see all these cooks, they're all like screaming and that's how it is. But at home, it's the opposite. It's destructive. You're looking for long term. You're looking to create a warm atmosphere. Now, what do we do when the child doesn't listen? Which child listens, right? What do we do when they don't listen, right? He says, you got to tell him once, you got to tell him again, until he listens. This is the chokhmah of chinuch.
It's not nagging.
What?
It's not nagging.
No. So there you go. He says, this is the chokhmah of chinuch. When to say and how to say, right? Sometimes you shouldn't say at all. Sometimes the person should just not say. You got to wait for the opportunity. You got to wait. You got to think b'chokhmah. Great rabbi I knew once, Rabbi Yaakov Rosenberg, Zecher Tzadik Livracha. He passed away 1997, 1998. And he's a big chacham. So in his yeshiva, Machon Shlomo in Yerushalayim, he saw one of the students, he said one thing wrong. He picked up on him that he has a wrong thinking about something. Didn't tell him a word. 8 months later, in the course of a class, he offhandedly alluded to that, and by that time he saw that person is mature enough to pick up on it. Done. Everything was clicked right into place. This I heard from the person himself, that this happened to him. He said, look at the power. This is chinuch. This is how a mechanech is. Like, you wait for the opportunity, you keep nagging, as you say, we're not going to accomplish anything. It's just going to lose it. It's going to lose the taste. You got to wait for the opportunity to make sure. Sometimes, as we said before, the timing is very crucial. Excuse me. The timing is very crucial. You got to pick up when they're mature enough, when they're ready enough to do it. Offhandedly, some topic which is extremely important, Rav Wolbe says, we really have to pay attention. I think every parent is guilty. The way I see it. He says, the subject of threatening, right? To put them under a threat. He says, they're very unhealthy. You have to be extremely careful from this for children, right? Not He says, I don't mean to say don't demand anything from the children, or give up every time you tell him something. He goes, just says no or whatever. No, not at all. But don't give him the feeling that he's being threatened, that he's under the pressure of being threatened. If you don't do that, I'm going to take away your toy. If you don't do that, you're not going to get to this place. Or, the negative. If you do it, I will do this for you. I'll help you. Positive, yes. But on the negative, right, it has to be, we have to find a way, a path, to be able to pass along our demand in a manner which is positive, right? Positive, giving is a lot better than the negative, right? The negative goes under the umbrella of threatening. Right? Sometimes the threat could even get worse. Gemara brings an example. That's where he's getting this from. That one time a parent threatened his child, wait until we get home, and I will show you, right? And the kid died by the time he got home. Because he was so scared, so under the pressure, couldn't handle it. Right? And that's an extreme example. But again, this is something that we ought to be aware of. We have to understand that this is not healthy. We're dealing with, as someone calls it, they're like, the brain is like a mush, and we're playing with it, like sticking needles in there, and we think it's fine, but it's not. It's very important. The feeling that they're being threatened, the feeling that they're in danger, it's very dangerous. That's what we have to stay away from, and this all comes under the umbrella of punishment. How do we discipline? How do we do that? This is something that we have to be very, very, very aware of.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yes.
It's a very hard line to find, but what if it's a natural consequence? Like, if you brush your teeth quickly, we'll have time for an extra buck. So that could be positive.
That's a positive.
Or if they didn't listen, then it becomes a negative. Then they complain, oh, it's not fair, I really wanted that book. Sorry, we're only reading 2 books, not 3 books because you didn't brush your teeth fast enough. But then you have to determine what's fast enough, what's this, what's that.
You're right, but at the end of the day, that's more towards the positive. Again,
right,
you're not telling me if you don't brush.
It becomes negative when they're complaining and they're tantruming, and you know what I mean?
Right.
At the end, it's a battle.
It's a tough one. That's a very tough one. It's something. Again, this is something that we really have to work on because it takes thought. On the spur of the moment, the person decides to do it, it'll be very hard to deal with. Right there in that moment, okay, let me see, is this positive or negative? To try to figure out, it's very hard. This is something to think about and to plan ahead. Once you do that, you get used to that rhythm of stop, let me think, or before the situation comes up, a person thinks about it, it becomes very helpful. We fail all the time, don't worry, but we're going to be tested again.
I mean, what works for us is I just put an alarm. Like if you brush your teeth by 5 minutes, and that's plenty of time for them to brush their teeth.
That works.
That extra book.
Yeah, that works. Good for you. They still go with the books. Okay. All right. Now, says Rav Wolbe, another topic which is an amazing topic, and it happens in every home. He says, I want to add something else, right? And that is kids helping at home. Okay. It is very important to bring them in, right, to incorporate them into the work that has to be done at home. There are certain chores, there are certain things that the parents want to do. It is very important to have them be your partner, to have them incorporated into it. Example, mommy gave birth, right? A little baby. And usually, as we know, when the little baby comes home, the older sibling is jealous. Okay? It's normal, very normal. So, because he feels that he's being cast aside, he feels that nobody cares about him anymore, and this is what goes on in their head. They're feeling threatened. Somebody's moving into their territory. The chokhmah of chinuch is to make him your partner, right? Make him in charge, of something, right? Especially making him in charge. You are the older brother / older sister. You are responsible. Baby is crying. Could you please give him the pacifier? Your mommy's helper. Could you please do that? Or could you please bring for him this? Wow, you're big and you could do that. You are my special helper. To make him or her feel special, right? The helper or mommy's right hand, or all these things. It shows that, hey, you're not my slave. You're not my maid. You're not degrading him. You are elevating him or her to be at your side, to be your helper and everything. Or the baby needs, to be shaken a little bit. Could you shake the crib a little bit so the baby falls asleep? And when they do it, you say, wow, you're amazing. Look what you did. You are my special helper. To do that, it elevates the child. It's an approach that's, there's no room for jealousy anymore because, hey, I'm responsible for this new thing, this little thing here. I'm responsible. And he feels a sense of camaraderie with the mother. Weird enough, but it is. It's that kind of a feeling. Where do we find this in the Torah? As we know, everything we have to look for a source for it in the Torah. End of Parashat Kitetse. Parashat Vayetze. Parashat Vayetze is about the building blocks of Am Yisrael, where in the beginning Yaakov Avinu leaves Eretz Yisrael to go to his dear tzaddik uncle Lavan, and he marries his wives, and he brings 11 out of the 12 Shevatim, right? Reuven, Shimon, Levi, all of them. And comes time after 20 years for him to leave, right? Finally, he wants to not to be a burden on his father-in-law, and it's time for him to go back to Eretz Yisrael from Haran. So he speaks to his wives, and they come to a decision, time to go. They pack their bags and they leave. Lavan hears about this, gathers his people, and he goes for a chase to kill Yaakov and his family. Right? How do we know that? Later in Parshat Kitavo we say, Arami Oved Avi. Arami is Lavan. He wanted to kill Yaakov and all of his family. His own grandchildren and daughters he wanted to kill. We say in the Haggadah Shel Pesach as well. So, and he catches up. He catches up to Yaakov. The night before, Hashem comes to him and said, listen, buddy, nothing, not a word, good or bad, don't do nothing to Yaakov. Okay? He goes, but he's looking for some sort of an excuse. After the whole thing is settled, they get together to make a treaty. To make a treaty, they want to make a pile of rocks, right? To build, that this should be a memory for that treaty. Okay? It says in the Torah that Yaakov Avinu, Vayomer Yaakov le'echav, Yaakov told his brothers, Liktu avanim, gather rocks. So the Midrash, Chachamim ask, brothers? Yaakov only had one brother, and that's Esav. And he doesn't love him very much, because in a few Pesukim later, we're going to see that he's coming to kill him too. So, brothers? What does the Torah say? Yaakov told his brothers. Familiar with this question? Rashi says, he's calling his children his brothers. Rashi says, Echav, his brothers, Elu banav, his children. Reuven, at this point in time, was 14 years old. Okay? Shimon and Levi were like 13-ish. And down all the way to Yosef, who was around 6 years old. Okay? So these are now Yaakov's brothers. Yaakov is what? How old is he here?
80-something.
No, he's like 100-something. Yeah, already it's 20 years past. So he's calling them brothers. Why? Rashi adds something else, right? He says, "Misha'a shene'erchu la'azor lo," when they got together to help him, they are called his brothers. Once they stood at his side to help him out, they are his partners, his brothers. So we learn from here, you ask, there is a way of asking for help, right? You put a chore on your kid, wash the floors, what am I, your maid, your slave? What is this? You say, I have to wash the floors, but I can't. Would you be able to help me? Be my helper? You're accomplishing the same thing, but giving him a feeling of you're helping you. You're not just throwing it on their shoulder, they're helping you. It's a chokhmah that we learned from Yaakov Avinu, right? To make the child as if your brother, that he should understand that in a certain concept, he is equal to you, he's helping you, he's your partner. It's a big deal. He won't feel that you're putting a burden on him. It's very important to be able to do that. And he'll do it. The child will do it because he's going to feel a certain responsibility. A child that learns to help out to the parents, right, gets a new status. It's a stature for them. It's something very good feeling. It all depends how the parents will make the child feel, right? Besides that, you are teaching them to accept responsibility. You're giving them a job and you're making them responsible for that job. Number one, it'll elevate them. Number two, it'll give him a certain how should we call, status at home. Oh yeah, he's in charge of this. He's in charge of baking. He's in charge of, I don't know, he's the CEO. I don't know, you give him a title. He gets a title at home.
CEO of laundry.
Right, CEO of laundry, folding laundry. That's it. You are now in charge of folding laundry. Wow, we got it. And you know what? You can make medals for them. They walk out with the whole thing. Heroes. I'm telling you.
You can actually go to LATC and get that.
Very good.
Yeah.
It's funny.
You can make whatever kind of pin you want. If you're a teacher. No, I'm sure you can. Call me.
They have it on Groupon also. You could get Groupons on personalized pins. Yeah, you could get it. It's funny. We had, growing up at home, we were 6 boys, and we had a library system. We had a lot of books, and every one of us had a library card. Okay, and we made stamps, what date it has to be returned. Everybody had a book. We would write who took out this book, and we had a librarian, and we had a banker. That was also, we had a lot of different systems. Little kids, I was the youngest, so to me it was but they had a whole system of things, to do, and it was Baruch Hashem, no cell phones, TV in Iran. What was TV in Iran? It started at 5 o'clock until 11 o'clock at night, and maybe a cartoon, Baruch Hashem. All we had was these things, and it was amazing. It was we learned so much, and you learned responsibility. This guy was in charge of this guy, and all the chores were divided up. This week is his turn, this week you learn to be responsible.
Was that the older siblings doing it, or?
Yeah.
Yeah, the older siblings.
Yeah, for sure. We just followed.
Right.
But it was great. I remember. Could you imagine? I'm still remembering all these all the. Now he says, besides that title that they get at home, they also learn to be very responsible. They learn to be very responsible, and through doing that, they're going to grow up to be people. They're going to grow up to be people that accept responsibility in their lives, and when they build their own family, they are responsible for them, and they know how to take care of them. It really helps. It really helps them become very mature. Nowadays, unfortunately, I used to go to SMC a lot. You talk to the people, they have no idea what they're doing. They have no direction. They're spoon-fed, a lot of them. They don't do anything at home. Many of them, you talk to them, they're nothing. They're not part of the household, unfortunately. And poor things, their parents, many of them just came from outside the country. They were trying to establish themselves. They had a rough enough time for themselves, let alone raising their kids. And that created a huge generation gap. Okay, but hopefully we'll be smarter. Now, rule of thumb.
if, let's say the younger one doesn't want to do it, and the older one
Get upset. How
jumps
come?
in to
Oh.
do it
Done.
all the time. Not all the time, but like he jumps in to just get it done and get it over. with.
No
it
matter what the
because he
chore
wants-
is, or just certain things.
Is it because he
No
wants it
matter.
just to get done so that you can get some, so that
Yeah.
you can go on with the next thing?
Yeah.
Right.
Again.
Should you stop that from happening?
No. Let him. Let him. You got to create for the other one something else, and and then you got to tell him, listen. Let's try to make him also a partner, something like that. That they should know, everybody gets an opportunity. I know you all want to do it. I know everybody's excited to do it. You know what? Let's give others a turn also. We got to work it in that way, to make it like a privilege. Pretty much like a privilege that, oh, Baruch Hashem, how exciting they are. Look at this, how exciting everybody is. At the end of the day, the child might say no. Well, many times we'll say no because it's not for them. It doesn't talk to them. So you gotta let it go for
The
now.
jobs always have to be exciting.
You have to make it exciting.
So that means that for them doing chores, are they going to get paid, rewarded? Should we do that? I read somewhere that you're not supposed to.
No.
It's like something you do.
The reward is that they have a status, they have a title. You are my partner, right? If it gets to I'm going to give you $1, I'm going to give you this, then where do you stop?
There's
Like,
no
you know,
intrinsic value.
You want to give them $5 next? You want to give them more? And to kids,
What
you
if
have
there's
to,
like a chart system or a ticket system or something? Is that also
yeah,
bad?
that could work. That could work. But better system is this. You're my helper. You're my special helper. Obviously, I can't do everything. And I need some help. If you can't do it, we're gonna see now. He says like this. Rule is, we shouldn't have a lot of demands from them. Don't have a whole thing. Okay, do this and this and this and this and the whole list. No. It has to be something that we know it's doable. They're excited about it, and that's it. But what you do ask of them, don't move, don't budge. You have to be consistent, right?
What does that mean? Don't budge.
That means
So you're gonna be there all night.
That means very good. Because of that, you have to think
Really
really
hard. It's
well
important for you.
beforehand. Is it going to get done or not? If you don't think it's going to get done, don't even start. Right? Make sure that it's something doable. Make sure it's something that they will be excited about, and you could get them excited if they're not excited. If not, don't do it. You're just belittling yourself.
What if you forget?
Yeah.
I always forget.
We do fail.
Because I'm my head is everywhere, and I ask, and then before I realize, oh, they're already in bed, and she forgot to pick up the blocks.
Then you have to come on, you have to come up with something the next day you say, oh, by the way, you had a chore and you didn't do, but I had no choice. I did it for you this time, but remember, this is something that, Baruch Hashem, you're responsible enough and usually you would do it. I know you were tired. Things like that. You can't come demanding, oh, you didn't do it,
Right.
can't do it like that. Chaim tov. Now, but whatever it is, once you see that there is a demand that is the right time, that is a proper thing to demand of the child, ask him to do it, him or her to do it, but don't give up, right? It has to be that they are going to do it, right? But he has to do it with wisdom, right? It shouldn't come to force, it shouldn't come to screaming at all, right? But it has to be done. It has to be done. You cannot budge. Once you start budging, the whole thing falls apart.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Is it considered going in a negative way if I say if you play with a toy, I'm so happy that you're enjoying it, but if if the card game is scattered all over the floor and it doesn't get cleaned up and mommy has to clean it up, then you can't play with it for whatever.
I think we could accomplish the same thing from a positive angle also. Right?
But then it doesn't get picked up, and then if I pick it up, I say they can't play with it for 2 days.
We could say, look, yesterday I had to pick it up. You guys didn't do it, so let's hold off on it today, and then tomorrow we could do it.
But there was no advance warning in in that.
Advance warning would also be sounding threatening. You don't want to threaten them, right?
So
If
it's
you
better
could-
just to pick it up and say, I picked it up because you didn't,
right.
than to give them a warning about it?
To say, look, guys, if it's your job to do it, I expect you to do it. Like, you're responsible enough. I see you're responsible. It might be that you forgot, you were just too tired. Okay, that's fine. But, that'll take off one day off you guys not being able to play with it now. I think that'll work.
I don't know. For me, my kids say, but you never told us that.
Okay, now I did.
Oh, totally lawyers.
Can I ask?
Wow.
Can I ask what's wrong with threatening? I know that it's not fair. It's like
You're right. Threatening. I was
Life
trying to
is
figure
like
this
that.
out.
You park where you don't pay attention, you get a parking ticket. That's just life.
But at home, you want to be delivering warmth. Right? Out there, I know it's a cruel world out there, but we need to have that warm environment to be built for them, for their own, this is
safe
the
haven,
nest.
right.
This is the nest for them, especially nowadays, with all the tickets being given out there. They're not their mommy,
Right.
Now, threatening leaves an impression of being under a pressure, right, of the unknown. To them, the kids in their mind, the way they work, when they feel threatened, it's like an anxiety that builds up within them. But when you come from the positive side, you're not building an anxiety. You're doing it in a positive way. We could accomplish the same exact thing from a positive route. We have to do that, and not to resort to threats and to a feeling of they're not safe. It'll take away from their safety net.
so how does one train themselves to get into that mindset?
Thought and a lot of thinking and planning and a lot of talking husband and wife together and to discuss it and see what is Baruch Hashem, it's common sense, a lot of it. And
Like at the moment, it's just like you want to get something done and move on to the next.
forget it. At the moment, it won't work. It all comes from the training before. At times of peace. Look, you're not going to cram for the test 2 minutes before the test, right? You're gonna study even the night before. At least it's the night before. The same thing. These are tests. Yes, we do fail. Don't give up. We fail all the time, but then we're giving an opportunity of 5 minutes. So this is an amazing thing. After all, we're humans. We're not robots. We're not malachim that, we will do it all and we know it all. We don't. We have to accept it and we have to deal with it. Be'ezrat Hashem. The next segment that he has is a very special segment, but I know I'm not going to be able to finish it. So I think we'll leave it for next time.
So how do we move on with life without always feeling guilty?
Exactly what I